But given, I must say, given how much of a hard time you guys give me about my love of America, I am amused to see that you've imported this whole thing over here from Washington, of all places. Although they, as far as I can tell, had Trevor Noah, and we couldn't even get Trevor Kavanagh here, but things to improve on. But I'd also like to say thanks to Con and tonight's sponsors, Bloomberg. Now, obviously, from my previous line of work, I know Bloomberg really well, and I know firsthand that they provide fast and accurate information. So quite what they're doing sponsoring a lobby dinner, I just don't know. Now, my team, and some of them are here tonight, know that I don't like making long speeches. So, in conclusion, I'm joking of course, because even I couldn't get away with making a speech shorter than one of Robert Peston's questions. Robert, actually, I was sad to see that this evening's entertainment doesn't include yours and Ed Ball's new band. But I gather that the centrist dads recently covered the Sex Pistols, which I thought finally a Kennedy scholar and an Oxford graduate showing us the true meaning of punk. But it did get me excited thinking about conference karaoke next week. Obviously, now I've heard on the grapevine that Nadine and Boris are doing Nothing Compares to You. Liz Truss is apparently covering Shaggy's It Wasn't Me. And I will be performing Elton John's classic Tiny Dancer. As Sam was saying, it has been quite the year in British politics. I think we're almost a year to the day on from what we might, I guess, euphemistically call the events that led to my becoming Prime Minister. And I'm glad to see, actually, that Liz Truss has been quietly reflecting. Not least on who's to blame. HMT, of course, OBR, B of E, IMF, HMV, DFS, ACDC. In fact, I can't think of an acronym in British public life that hasn't yet been blamed, except perhaps the IEA. But I'll admit it hasn't been the easiest year for me. Now, of course, in this job, you do expect plenty of criticism. That's what you sign up for. Criticism of your policies, your speeches, your strategy. But the one thing I absolutely didn't expect was criticism for my sartorial choices. Apparently, there's even some chap on Twitter called Menswear Guy who described my style as being for guys in their 40s who were wearing trendy clothes 20 years ago. I mean, ouch. So, his views on my tailoring are attracting, as you heard from Sam actually, a weird fascination from all of you here in the great British press. But I've got to say, that is a little tough to take from a group of people who think that smart casual means a gin and tonic rather than a pint. But on the subject of political clothing, I saw that Sir Keir had given President Macron an Arsenal shirt, complete with the sleeve sponsor, Visit Rwanda. I was very glad to see him finally endorsing the government's position that it is a perfectly safe country to go to. But not that Sir Keir is particularly attuned to the British people when it comes to immigration. In fact, he's so out of touch, he thinks the Angel of the North is a tube stop in Islington. Arguably, looking back over this tumultuous year, no one's had a busier year than Matt Hancock. It's hard to keep up. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Celebrity SAS, who dares wins. And that's just one reason that I'm so proud to have introduced the online safety bill. It's designed to prevent the spread of harmful, malicious, and undignified content. Just like a 44-year-old former health secretary lip-syncing to a Barbie song on TikTok. So, But let me reassure you all, actually, that banning online harms does not make me a Puritan. Now, I've heard in this job some very worrying proposals. Very worrying. And tonight I want to confirm that under my government, they'll never happen. The ban on Christmas, I've scrapped it. The plan for pubs to open just an hour a day, I've scrapped it. The ban on Strictly, I've scrapped it. And of course the ban on puppies, I've scrapped that too. This last year has also reminded us of journalism's true importance. Many of you spend years investigating deeply buried secrets, exposing dreadful abuses of power, and uncovering shocking conspiracies. Like the Guardian's scoop about my sinister erasable ink, or as I like to call them, fountain pens. It was worrying. I don't know what they're going to think when they discover that we actually use pencils in the cabinet room. But I also know that some of you in this room raised eyebrows earlier this year when I decided to do my longest ever interview with Test Match Special. And I get it. A cricket obsessive chatting about his favourite sport at the home of cricket doesn't exactly scream scrutiny and accountability. I hear you. So that's why I'm pleased to tell you that my next set of interviews will be the toughest that I've ever faced. I'm doing an hour-long sit-down with Southampton Pharmacist Children's Weekly. Next up is a probing expose in the Stanford Alumni Newsletter. And perhaps my toughest ever grilling is going to be for the British Indian Star Wars Appreciation Society's Wikipedia page. But seriously, tonight is all about the importance of journalism and the importance of a free press. Democracy dies in darkness. And while I might sometimes wish that there were dimmer switches, all of you shine a light and probe an important part of our democracy, our government, always searching, scrutinising and holding us to account. Yours is truly vital work. And while he was never a member of the lobby, I wanted to finish by remembering a great British journalist who we lost this year, George Alagiah. Now, I grew up watching George's fearless, compassionate reports on TV, from the appalling genocide in Rwanda to the hopeful Mandela years in South Africa. A brilliant, brilliant journalist, by all accounts, a kind and humble man. He represented the very best of this country's long and noble tradition of journalism. And the final word tonight must surely go to him. If you get the journalism right, it can be a civilizing thing for a country and the core of a good society. I can't put it any better than that. Thank you for everything, George, and thank you all very much. Have a good evening.